And I'm here with Jonathan, who is the new head of watches for BVLGARI. Jonathan, how are you, sir?
Hi, Wei. How are you?
I'm great.
Thanks for being here with us.
It's a pleasure. So, Jonathan, some pretty big shoes to fill, you know? You have, actually, let's go in chronological order.
Yeah.
The legendary Guido Terreni. You
Yes.
have Fabrizio Buonamassa, who's still here with us as creative director, of course. Of course, you've got the amazing Catherine Eberle as well, who is one of the really, I consider her a grand doyenne of communications. If you hear laughter, it's because she's just off. But I would say that even if she wasn't here, right? And of course, Antoine Pin, right?
Of course.
And it's also been 11 years of the Octo Finissimo, launched in 2014.
Yes.
So first of all, tell me, what is your vision for the future of the Octo Finissimo?
No, but first of all, thanks a lot for being here. And as you said, this brand is outstanding. The story and the heritage of BVLGARI Watchmaking is huge. And my role will, of course, be to continue to ride my own path, but to definitely build on the great legacy that both Guido, Antoine, Fabrizio, who of course is still with us and still so innovative for us, are building. Our future cannot be built without looking at our past. And I think you mentioned it very well. Finissimo is the anchor of what BVLGARI stands out today in watchmaking. And it started with this thinness. It started with this idea of this design watch, this sartorial watch, Italian watch that was actually going through under the shirt. And then we had to create this movement that actually could fit. And it's 11 years of records, 11 years of craftsmanship, obviously. And this year for us is also another structural year because we have been launching the ultrathin at the beginning of the year.
Congratulations on your win.
I was about to say we were crowned last week at the GPHG. Thanks so
Bravo,
much.
bravo.
Which is a testimony again, I think, of all the work that the teams of BVLGARI have been doing in really anchoring our brand into the thinness, the skeleton of this watch. That's why for us it was logical to come at the Dubai Watch Week with another story about the Finissimo, which is the Matar, collaboration with a great artist. We know that Finissimo, on top of being an horological watch machine, is also a true design canvas. For Fabrizio, it's a blank page, a blank canvas that each time he's reinventing. This time with an outstanding artist. You have the watch here, Matar. And again, each collaboration starts with universes. Start with the universe of Fabrizio, the universe of the artist. And here, the two universes fit so well because the universe of Matar is obviously about calligraphy. It's about very much monochromatic approach of art. The use of metal. We know BVLGARI Finissimo was born in titanium.
Yes.
Here, your laser engraving, which is very much tied to the world of Matar. And that's the continuation of this story. So we're very happy to celebrate again Finissimo this year. Great success story of our Ultra, great success story, and very humbly proud of last week's prize at the GPHG, and now continuing the story with artistic collaboration.
You know, it was actually an incredible moment. It was just a week ago, right? Yeah. You know, in Geneva, and for you guys to receive this prize for the tourbillon category, and for what is the world's thinnest tourbillon as well, is really remarkable. I've always loved this idea that you said, which is it was born out of elegance, you know? And it was interesting to me because last night we attended a black tie function.
Yes.
And I overheard the head of one of the biggest brands in the world saying, but you know, we don't have a watch that I can wear with my smoking because they're all too bulky. And actually, it's actually very true. The greatest elegance you can give is the elegance that you give as respect to your customers. And there's kind of adaptability to wear it in any condition that you want, in a kind of sporty chic way because it's titanium as well, but in the most elegant setting as well with a smoking, that adaptability is elegance. Would you agree? Or?
No, I fully agree. And you know, that's I've been 10 years now in BVLGARI working in different universes. What I've always loved is that this brand is born in design.
Yeah.
It's born in this very demanding angle of, okay, what is the perfect design we want? And that's, of course, the art of Fabrizio for watchmaking. And then the technical mastery, the technical capabilities are built to serve what is the original design. And in the case of Finissimo, you're right, going back to the roots, it was this idea of this Italian elegance. And sometimes we forget it because then the records came, and I think we were, thanks to the works of all the teams, recognized for the technicity of this watch. But you're right, it was a watch born definitely in design.
Yeah, from the very beginning in 2014, I love this dynamic contrast between, elegance in terms of thinness, but yet there's a sort of very forceful presence also in terms of the muscularity of the watch. Now we cut to 11 years later, right? And the prevailing taste in terms of diameter has starting to evolve, quite a dramatic way. Will Bulgari respond to this? I am just trying to ask as diplomatically as possible. You don't have to tell me too much, but are we going to see a smaller diameter Octo Finissimo in the future?
We'll have to talk again about that. But obviously, I think you're pointing out something very important, which is the fact that we are born into design, the fact that we are born into this elegance. There's a need to follow and to understand how the category, the trends, the taste are actually evolving. And so, as much as we love this anchor into design, we are working on plenty of different things. Again, we should not forget, Finissimo is about thinness. The challenge we would have in any diameter we would do is to still keep the thinness. And that's basically what I also want to keep, because the anchor of Finissimo is really that. It's how it was born into design, but no compromise on the thinness, no compromise on the technicity. And that's why, again, recognized last week is GPHG for that thinness is all about that. So we have this duty of continuing into that. Stay tuned. I will be happy to talk again in the next month.
Very excited to see what happens in the future. But there's just an immense integrity in terms of creating an Octo Finissimo, because you have to have a bespoke movement for a bespoke case, for a bespoke bracelet, and also a bespoke dial and even indexes, because otherwise you're not going to be able to achieve the sort of benchmark of elegance and thinness, right? And so I understand also it's not just a question of like, hey, let's just get a smaller case. You have to re-engineer everything if you have to do this,
That's that theoretically, should we be working on something like that? Yeah. That's definitely the challenge with Arsène herself, because my main pride, I would say, entering and taking over watchmaking with Bulgari is really the how much impressed I am by how we're able to drive this complexity in our movements and this unicity in thinness, because that's the point of difference that we have. And you were asking me, what is my vision for this brand? My vision is to keep pushing where we've been different from Bulgari, because that's what has been successful. We need to recognize watches today. Finissimo is recognizable. That's the one icon in men's watch that today is recognized as Bulgari. You see it immediately. Yeah. And that's for me what I want to drive.
Yes.
And thinness is, of course, now it's our DNA. And the thinness, what is wonderful is that now we can use it elsewhere. We were talking about ladies' watch, and you see a big chunk, of course, of our business there in ladies' watch. That's also a new field for us, because all the technology, the technicity that we're able to put into thin movements, now we can apply to miniature movements. And that's what it's been doing over the last 3-4 years with our Serpenti lines.
I love the inclusion of the Piccolissimo. Yeah.
And that's actually the evolution we're bringing. Tourbillon, now the Lady Solo Tempo, so the semi-industrial movement that now we're doing. Piccolissimo, obviously, which is most likely one of the smallest one in the world. This is the same DNA. It's the same DNA. This DNA of miniaturizing our movements at Bulgari.
Bulgari is very interesting to me also, that you are simultaneously very, backwards looking in a very nice way when we talk about Serpenti, because it really is an icon, That's the only thing I would have said related to the entry of the men's Serpenti into the iconic category. Yeah. I would have just put the woman, like a woman's Serpenti, because that's the most iconic woman's watch, and really the most iconic woman's watch, which is also a piece of form jewelry. It's extraordinary. But yet at the same time, you have, in a time when everyone is very preoccupied, let's just say, with the 18th century, you are unabashedly forward-thinking when it comes to the Octo Finissimo. And I have to congratulate you on that as well, because it's so important that we continue to write the history, the future history of watchmaking.
But you know what is written on the watch?
No, I don't actually.
It's about the future.
Really?
It's about the future. Because Matar World, and that's another element that we loved with Fabrizio collaborating with Matar, is that this artist is anchoring also his work into the future, into the fact that we can shape our future today. And that's literally what is written on this watch. You can build, you can be the actor of the future, you can write yourself the future, which for me is a structural message for Bulgari, because as you rightly point, and thanks for mentioning it, it's all about what Bulgari is doing. It's We are respectful of our icons, of our heritage, but we look forward. We look forward. I want to innovate. I want to drive new materials. I want to drive new records. I want to drive new surprise. You mentioned Serpenti and the collaboration with Max, which again is a wonderful testimony of the fact that we never stay still. We always reinvent, and we dare. Because going with a Serpenti with MDNF was a big bet. Because you touch your icon, and as you rightly said, it's Our Lady's icon. And we went into, well, I don't know how to call it, and I was talking with Mac this morning. I think this is a UFO that's Fabrizio and him did together. But that's in the spirit of surprising. That's in the spirit of pushing the boundaries of what we could do. And to close on Matar, that was for us the very symbolic message that we wanted to give, because the future can be built today, and it's our duty to do it for Bulgari.
I mean, when we have this opportunity to be in this extraordinary city at this fair, you know, it resonates with how you can build your own future and be the captain of your own destiny. And it's a really cool watch to have that message, and it's very appropriate in this context. So thank you very much, Jonathan.
Thanks.
It's a pleasure.
Thanks again, and have a great fair.
You too.